Welcome back, Planet Citizens. This is Cindy, and we are here in San Diego. I am in one of the most comfortable and luxurious new hotels I think you can find in San Diego. It's called the Pendry, and they have an art gallery. And in this art gallery, we're at the exhibit Proximity, which is by Todd Glaser, and he will tell us more about how this project started, but he was the creative director for the movie by the same name, and he has a very amazing 200-some plus page, beautiful photography of what happened on those adventures. So thank you so much, Todd, for joining us today on Eco Ventures. We highlight bright spots of people and organizations who help us live better rather than larger in our cities. And in previous episodes, I've talked about the momentum generation. I'm very into Michael Franti's music as well. And so he has a lot of positive music, and he had a special coming out called Stay Human. And then all of a sudden, I heard there was this HBO special, and it was by Robert Redford, and it was called The Momentum Generation. And that was all of these people who lived on the North Shore, which I'm an older generation too. I grew up with the Hoes and, Derek Michael Ho and those folks. And then the Momentum Generation was after me, but at the same time, I feel like they're still my generation. I just wasn't on the island at that time. And what I've been highlighting is the fact that they were able to shift surfing into like this new generation. And I think that as our economies shift and as our communities shift, as more people move into cities and we share our resources and we look for, how we get along with each other better as we move forward, I think that they kind of represent a shift in thinking that's more, in my perspective, more sort of conscious-based. And I could be off. That could be my own opinion. But really, that's why I'm here. And so as I look around at your art, I see black and white photos, and I see color photos, and you can tell that they all tell a story. But it looks like you have a mashup of two going on at once. So please tell us anything you'd like, from where you'd like to start and where you'd like to go.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Cindy, and for making the drive down. It's a rainy day in San Diego, which is usually pretty rare, but we've had quite a bit of rain this winter. But yeah, we're at the gallery at the Pendry Hotel, and a couple of months ago they invited me to come down and actually be part of a group show, and the group show fell through. Some of the other photographers couldn't make it. And then about a month later, they called and asked if I would be interested in doing a solo show. And the space it's a beautiful space. It's right in the heart of downtown. And I thought, I've been touring this art show that we did with Proximity, which is a surf film and a coffee table book that Taylor Steele and I made together. Basically kind of based the premise of it was to get 4 groups of dual generational surfers, take them to a place they hadn't been, and then take a step back and document not only their surfing, but what it would be like as a fan of surfing to see, what they would talk about. So in doing so, when they would go surf, we would have them mic'd, and we would record a lot of their conversations. So like the project itself was based a lot on the narrative in addition to the imagery.
Let me ask a question. So when you say 4 generations, are these people 4 separate generations of people who surf who don't necessarily interact with each other? Or is it like when you're on the tour and you're going around, you would all see each other anyway? So I guess my question is, as a fan of surfing, and also if there's someone out there who's not a fan of surfing, just trying to figure out what they're looking at, are these people who would generally not have been together on a trip like this? Or are they people who, yes, they might have been, but this was a more specific, okay, here's everybody together?
Well, I think the great thing about the surf community is that it's a pretty small community. So a lot of surfers all tend to know each other, but they don't always get to spend a lot of time with each other. So it's actually, when we say dual generational, it's more like 4 generations would be far too big of an age gap. It's more like an example, when we were filming the project, we brought an 11-time world champion surfer, which is Kelly Slater, on a trip with John Florence, who at the time hadn't won a world title.
Oh, so that was before, because he has won since.
Right, he's won 2 since.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so, it was really interesting for us, especially at that time of our life, that time of his life, that it's more of a timestamp of, since the project, he's gone on to win 2 world titles. What did they talk about? What did he learn from the trip? And beyond that, they have quite a bit of similarities in the fact that they were both born, they were both raised by their mothers. They both had 2 brothers. They're both highly competitive. So from a visual standpoint, we thought what better way to show that than to have them surfing, but also, take them fishing and just as buddies and have them go play chess and see what they would talk about.
That's in my mind right now. That's what I was remembering. I really liked, I don't know why I enjoyed it so much, but there's a scene where they're playing chess. And I thought, what a great thing. I mean, just the simple things, right? Sitting down to a dinner table and eating together as a family these days, right? Like that's a gathering, beautiful community building thing. So to sit and play chess together, that's a really nice thing to do, versus just tuning out, right? For some reason that scene or that stuck out to me as like, this is great. Everybody should go on a surf trip, that kind of thing.
That was kind of the idea with the whole project, was to approach it, one, just to have the most amount of fun that we can and get great waves and document it, but also, these guys are so busy, and especially the guys that are on tour, guys and females that are on tour, they're so highly competitive that they don't always get the opportunity to just kind of like let their hair down, so to speak, and just go play in the ocean and have fun and not have to deal with the stress of performing at a certain level in a set amount of time.
Yeah.
We tried to keep it a very relaxed crew. Taylor did a great job organizing the camera crews, and my role in the project was just to kind of get everyone together and have fun. And if you look, actually hanging above us are a couple of the different boards from the project. Like that's John's board, that's Kelly's board. Those 2 are Machado's boards, and each surfer got partnered with a different artist.
Oh, neat.
And so, like Kelly's board right there, he had a 6-board quiver painted on by a fantastic artist out of New York named Richard Phillips. And then those images, the images on the bottom of Rob Machado's boards, he had a 6-board quiver. We originally meant to go to Africa, and on the bottom is all artwork done by an artist named Sage Vaughn. And when you put all the boards together, they make one big mural. However,
neat.
When about a month before the trip, when we were supposed to go to Africa, we decided to change locations, and in doing so, Rob handmade 6 new boards. So we had to run up to Los Angeles to a studio and get the new boards painted, which is kind of funny. And one of the things that we thought about with this project was to approach it more so as an art project than just like another surf project.
And inspiration strikes, right? So if he had that moment of, profuse production, then clearly there was a vision there. It looks like there's an explosion happening with that one. So I could see if you put all 4 together, you could do all kinds of great things. Mm-hmm. Well, what a wonderful exhibit. If you're in downtown San Diego, are we looking at J Street or 5th Street right here?
We're on the corner of 5th and J.
You can see into the gallery from the street. It's worth coming in. While you're describing these boards, I'm thinking, if somebody is a rock and roll fan and they go around and they collect guitars, right? Like this is that B.B. King guitar. This is that, famous persons. Like these boards are really great. So if you have a family member who appreciates surfing, there's all kinds of pictures here. There's one, there's a scene where they're on hay, it looks like hay bales, and they're sort of running on the hay bales. It looks like that black and white photo might be one. And then what I really liked when I walked through the room, one of the best emotive pictures that I've seen of your work is the stoke. I call it the stoke. So it looks like it's a Southern California wave, but somebody's on the wave and their friends walking on the beach and they've got their hand up with that stoke. Like that is just, That brings a smile anytime. Do you have a favorite photo of these that you have in here? I know you must not. It's kind of like kids. You can't have a favorite one, right? But at the same time, you can tell each of them that they're your favorite. So, is there one?
I don't know. I don't have any kids, but so I guess if we do have one, then the first one's my favorite. Until you have the second one, then if you have a second one,
they're always your favorite. Like everybody's got to be your favorite when you have kids.
But as far as photos go, I've always been kind of skeptical to pick a favorite photo because it's all, I think that could, in a way, mean you're almost like giving up or letting go of the potential of making a new photo that's your new favorite. So I kind of, I appreciate the photos, and I'm super grateful to have made them and to be able to work with my friends and the surfers that are in them to make them together. But I don't know if there's necessarily a favorite
one. That's okay.
They all kind of have their own story, and they all kind of mean something a little bit different to me. And I can look at each one of these photos in here, and they'll remind me of, I can tell you the exact moment of when every single one of these images.
What is that one? There's one where you're under the water, and it looks like everyone's getting ready for the eddy, and then there's the one underneath it, and it's beautiful. I haven't seen anything on metal like that before, and it looks like it's a brushed metal.
It is.
Yeah. Can you describe that one?
Yeah. So within the gallery, we have 4 different mediums of art. We have traditional fiber-based printing, which are all matted and framed in addition to 25. We have the surfboard art. We have art on a face-mount acrylic, which are the images that are facing out to the street and the images facing in addition to printing on brushed aluminum. And what we do when we print on those is my printer has a really big, I guess it's like a UV printer that they can print onto any sort of medium. And so I thought in order to kind of mix up the aesthetic of the show, we'd do some on metal.
Oh, I'm glad you did. It's aluminum. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And that one is one of the most recent images of Rob. And we kind of have an ongoing joke because a lot of people go down to Tahiti and they'll go chase these really big waves at Chopu. And we've done that before, but last year we went and chased a real small swell to Tahiti, and we kind of call it like the swell dodging tour, because we'll go, if Tahiti's going to be 10 feet, we'll show up a week later when it's 3 feet, and everyone will be surfed out and tired and done, and we'll go surf perfect little 3-foot waves.
It sounds smart to me. It sounds like when people go surfing during the Super Bowl, it's like everybody's watching the Super Bowl, and so you get to have some waves to yourself. It kind of sounds like some good planning, actually.
Yeah, and shooting underwater photos is my absolute favorite way to make images. If there was a way to have my whole career based with underwater photography, that's what I would do. But we shot that one. I thought it looked really nice in black and white. And what's so great about everyone in these images, Rob and Kelly and Craig and Steph and everybody, is that at the start, when I first started shooting photos, I was just, okay, you guys go do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. But as you start to shoot more and build these relationships, you can really come to these guys with ideas and go, hey, I have this idea for this. And then they go, oh, I have the perfect board for this, or this is the great location for that. So it becomes much more of a collaborative experience.
Yes. Rather
than like an event photographer, for example, is just kind of capturing whatever happens. But, most of these images are all either we've talked about them, right, or we've worked together to make an image together. So like when they're paddling for a wave and they see me hold my breath and go underwater, they know what I'm going for. And they're going to surf a certain way to try and make an image together. And so for me, that collaboration process has been the best part about photography.
Now, that one, the underwater that's in color that we're looking at that you contemplated doing in black and white, I'm glad you didn't, because there's so many variations of blue and green in that, and the light reflecting, it's really nice. What is that? Who is that? What's going on in that?
Oh, there's actually, it's an empty wave. We're down in the South Pacific, and the waves were, the water there is some of the clearest water that I've ever seen. And there's this lens that I was actually doing an automotive shoot with, it's called a wide-angle rectilinear lens, which is famous, or it's most commonly used in architecture. But I was doing a photo shoot for a car company, and I was like, I needed a really wide-angle lens that wouldn't distort the car, and so I used it. And I remember as soon as I finished that shoot, I called Kelly and was like, I just found this lens. It's perfect. This is the lens. We got to shoot underwater photos. And he's like, I've got this place. We got to go there. And then about a year later, we ended up getting to go there. And a couple of the images in the gallery are from that location.
So you were saying, I need to find, so you call up your friend, which happens to be Kelly Slater, who happens to have been everywhere looking at waves everywhere, right? But so basically you say, I want to get a great underwater shot of a barreling wave. 3-foot barreling wave or whatever, and then he takes you there and you get it, and that's what that is.
Yeah, well, that's one. There's one over there, which that one ended up.
Now, see, there is a person in that one.
That's Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess that would be one of my favorites if I had to choose, just because it's an image that we'd talked about for quite a while, and we built a special housing just for this lens. And
yes, because I've seen. You see the movies where you can see them from the back of the wave. But when we're looking at this image, it looks like he's in an underwater tube at least 6 feet away or more. And is there another wave breaking above you? Is that what's framing it?
What it is it's the wave was really offshore that day. And one of the beauties of shooting in really clear water is you're able to get distance. You're able to get further away from the subject, and not everywhere is like that, but this place in particular has very clear water, and so he's probably about 10 feet away, and the droplets above the water are the mist coming off the lip, and so
wow.
we called that image tunnel vision, and it's Kelly and standing in the tube. There's another one.
Tunnel Vision. Okay, so you can own a copy of Tunnel Vision. There's only 25 of them. And I think that this would be worth investing in, folks. So if you want to you should come down here and check out the gallery. What if somebody's in Tennessee and they can't come down here? Where can they see your images or possibly buy your images, if they see them and like them, which I'm sure they would? Where would they find you if they're in Tennessee and they can't come down here?
They can find me on, I guess it would be on my website, which is www.tglaser.com. Or my Instagram has quite a few images. Right now I'm in the process of setting up a full print side to my business, but I'm kind of doing everything myself at the moment. My mom helps with the shipping of the books, but when we did the book, it was all self-published and produced. So.
Oh, wow. So you have your own, like you were mentioning you had your own printer. You must have a serious workspace.
Kind of, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, if you have boards, you have to have a garage or a place to put all your boards. And if you have, if you're a photographer, you have to have a place to create your art.
Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of my art's all, it's made on the road, so I can work pretty remotely anywhere. But as far as making books and storing surfboards, the mom's garage is really good for that.
Love those. Well, this has just been such a really nice visual feast, I've got to say, and such a pleasure. I had no idea that you were who you are, Mr. Todd Glaser. And if you're looking him up, it's Glaser. Okay, wonderful photography, great stories. I hope you're in the North Shore of Oahu. If you are, please stop by and see what's going on at the Pupukea studio.
I will.
Yeah, and if you have any pieces of art, we'll have to get you on a YouTube there. We'll get you. I'm trying to go video in March and April, so if you're up there after this month, stop on by and we'll get you on the video. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners about anything before we sign off on this late February edition of EcoVentures?
Well, when you said you're up in Pupukea, that actually got me thinking. I have a friend that has a workshop up there, Big Ben Wilkinson.
Oh, cool.
Who makes these beautiful tables and furniture out of reclaimed wood.
Oh.
He's an amazing artist. So if you're in the area, definitely go check out his shop.
I want to check him out. In fact, the furniture in my studio, because I was like, okay, you got to live it. No plastic furniture for me. And so there's this albizia tree. And the albizia trees, if you don't know out there in listening land, right tree, right place. And sometimes people try and bring in, trees to help us, and we find out later they're not. So the albizia tree is the one that looks like it's from Africa, because it is from Africa. And now we found out that in storms, they blow over pretty easily. And so people are getting paid grant money to take down the albizia trees and to rework them. So I have a Pune, and I have a really big, beautiful table that's made out of albizia just as a speaking point. So I would love to see what he's doing.
Yeah,
love it.
Incredible work. But yeah, just thank you for coming down and hearing a story and checking out the show. It's usually San Diego is pretty sunny and nice, so this weather's a bit.
No, this is a little blast of sunshine in the middle of the cloudiness out there. So we are in the Pendry Hotel. It's beautiful, everyone. If you're in San Diego, or if San Diego is a location for you, a destination location for work or for play, check out the Pendry. It is a beautiful, classic, upscale accommodation without making anybody feel over the top. So in other words, it's comfortable, it's luxurious, and it's got grace. Check out the Pendry. See you soon. Aloha. Aloha Planet citizens, this is Cindy and we are still in San Diego. We're in Ocean Beach, California on Bacon Street, right by Hodad's, right down the street. It's just such a fun area. In fact, when I was in college, I was above the surf shop right across the street. See that? Right next to the black?
Yeah.
Right above, what's that called?
South Coast.
South Coast Surf. Like I lived right above that. And
Nice.
we used to watch the block parties that went down. I am Cindy from Eco Ventures. We highlight bright spots of people and individuals who help us live better rather than larger in our cities. And earlier today, I had an interesting conversation from a woman from Sweden. And I was saying how it's really stressful. Like I've been talking in my show about VUCA times, like volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, and how that really destabilize cultures and how it doesn't help us to erect things in a positive way. However, if we're understanding the circumstances that we're in, we might be able to build healthier communities. And so I'm so interested. I'm here talking to Jonathan, and Jonathan is from Manchester, England. I'm half British, everyone. You may not have known this because I'm from Hawaii and I'm German and I'm all these things, but I'm also half British. I have a dual citizenship. And therefore, I struck up this conversation with this man from Manchester. And what I would really like to talk about is the disparaging, maybe it's not disparaging, but if you're a world traveler, the amount of waste that happens in the United States is extraordinarily larger than any other place. And so a lot of Americans haven't had the opportunity to travel worldwide. And I think if everyone had the opportunity to travel worldwide, we would be a much more conserving type of country. So when you're in Scandinavia, for example, they're socialized, and yet they look at us like we're teenagers. And they look at us like we're teenagers because in our culture, we're sort of like now, and we're not thinking about the ramifications of the future. Think of Brexit, right? Like, what the heck? I think that might have been what was happening with our last presidential election. However, it may not be, but I think that a lot of people who voted before, expecting certain things, didn't get them, and now have realized we have to participate a little more consciously in our communities, right? Whether that's just in our homes, whether that's in our local neighborhoods, whether that is. So please tell me your perception of how America might become more climatically conscious. In other words, climate mitigation might be just changing your sunscreen to a zinc-based sunscreen, because that, for those of you who haven't listened to the show before, for every 3 breaths you take, if we all took 3 breaths right now, let's do it. You ready? 1.
Yeah, Muzzle got the school points to 0 right now.
2. Woo! And even in this traffic and everything that we're hearing, it's very relaxing. And 3. Okay, well, 2 of those 3 breaths came from our trees of the seas, which are our corals, and they are dying off at extraordinary rates. And if we can just modify, a lot of people are overwhelmed with what can I do? But if we can just do one small thing in our own area, we can make a difference. And so please tell me what your thoughts are on how maybe Americans or people of the world might be able to reduce their use and help our environment.
Well, one thing that strikes me hard is that, you know, every single piece of plastic that's ever been made pretty much still exists on this planet. So it takes over 500 years for one piece to be to decompose. So even single-use plastics are probably one of the worst things to be happening. Even here in California, it's really nice to see a lot less people using straws or like plastic cutlery, even bringing their own coffee cups, utensils, and coffee cups to places like Starbucks. Like, even just limiting the amount of plastic that you're using, like taking your own bags to shopping, like reusable bags that aren't plastic, or taking your own reusable cup to Starbucks, so you've got that, and not taking a straw, or even buying a reusable straw. There's loads of alternatives that we can use, like bamboo, steel straws. You get those online.
Yes, bamboo is fantastic. And Bali is doing a major surge from their green school Bali. They had students who are leading no plastics in Bali, and it's succeeding. And there's other countries like Africa who are going no plastic. But for us in America, like, if you've never been to Europe, people, I just want you to confirm for me as a European. I am a European traveler, and I have been all over the world. And I can tell you that if everyone from America traveled, they would appreciate what we have here more. When you go to England, there's no air conditioning, is there?
No.
Is there
It's too cold.
ice? Is there ice in the cabinet? No. Like, ice is not readily available. Like, there's all kinds of things, which is why when you go as a tourist, as an American, if you're like demanding these things that you're used to and they don't have them, that's why we seem arrogant. Now, in the last 10 years, the Australians have sort of taken over as like the rowdy people in the world. And I love you Australians, but some of you can be pretty freaking fun and rowdy when you go out and you want certain things. And so I think that what we're talking about here is, as we're thinking about how we can be in this environment in a more conscious way, how can we just simplify our lives in a way where we can still be comfortable and yet experience all the goodnesses of life. And so when you're in the Scandinavian countries, it's more socialized. And so people don't worry about education, they don't worry about medical, they don't worry about their survival. And in America right now, we've got a lot of Airbnbs shopping up everywhere. There's all kinds of people getting dislocated from long-term rentals because it's going to be a more profitable Airbnb. We've got a lot of homeless people. We've got a lot of like broken medical system. We've got a lot of broken educational system. We have a lot of brokenness, and the rest of the world, from what I have experienced, they see America as a teenager. Right? We're trying to figure our stuff out. We're like really like, but my whole thing is I think that culture and infrastructure can help rebuild us and bring us together.
Education. People don't know, they won't know how to change.
And so education really is the basis. And you know, about British education, my understanding is when you graduate from grammar school, that is like having a bachelor's degree from here in America. And when you go to university, you get your degree from university in Europe, that's like having a master's here, right? And so Americans, what I'm trying to say is, I love you. I love all of you, but we can raise the bar, and we can spend a little more time thinking about serious issues, biographies of people, what our history is, rather than just really kind of watching like entertainment on the television. Entertainment's not bad, but I'm going to be talking about the Romans and the rise and fall in Rome, and how we compare as America to what has been going on. And we are at such a gross consumption period that we may fall like Rome if we don't get it together. So I love you, and that's why we're talking, and thank you for stopping and talking to me.
Right, all right.
On, what are we on? We're on Newport and Cape May in Ocean Beach, San Diego, talking live with a live British man who understands what it is to have a funny, witty, beautiful, super smart sense of humor.
Thank you very much.
Aloha.
Aloha. Lovely to have met you.
lunch, and Justin is going to share with us some pruning techniques in order to increase your yield and decrease waste. Just like we need to have circulation in this high heat, extreme temperature that you may have been experiencing this summer in your area, we need to help our trees have circulation as well. Aloha Planet citizens, this is Miss Cindy and we are here at Jackson Ranch. We're exploring organic lemon and avocado farming. These produce, they're all over the country. You can see them in Vons, you can see them all over the place. We'll learn more when we meet Justin next.
I'm going to explain what pruning is. Pruning, in a sense, is like grooming the tree. Oftentimes when the tree, especially as it gets older, will be a lot more dense and heavy, which is not necessarily a good thing. Why we want to prune the trees is because we want to make sure that the whole tree, especially from the inside out, is able to get the sunlight, and also we want the breeze when the wind comes through to be able to generate throughout the whole tree. Usually when you think of trimming a tree, you would think taking it from like the outside and doing the edges or whatever, but actually the most important thing when we're pruning lemon trees, and all citrus trees for that matter, is you want to start from the actual core of the tree. So it's a lot more manual labor to get into the middle of the tree, but it definitely has its benefits. They say that if you are pruning a tree correctly, that it can increase your production from anywhere between 30 to 40%. So that's a pretty big difference. So when you're pruning, you want to get in the middle. Here's the root of the tree, and if you see right here, you came in and trimmed all the branches. Any of the branches that, like the smaller ones that come off, like these guys got left, but you would want to come in and you cut them from the root too. So you don't want to, because if you say I cut it from here, then it would be leaving.
Oh, it'll continue to grow.
Correct.
Okay. So you get all of the little extra nubs off.
Yes.
And leave your stronger branches.
Yes, and so a lot of people, ranch owners and growers and stuff, have a hard time in your fruit, because a lot of times, the branches that you'll have to cut down do have fruit on them. So you are taking a little bit of a loss, but it's overall a really good thing for the tree in terms of long term.
So thank you, Justin. So we're learning that pruning, even though it may seem like a task in the beginning, it's like brushing your teeth. Every single day, if you brush your teeth every single day, it affects every part of your health in your body, starting with your mouth. It affects everything. So if you take care of your tree from the inside, up front, extra work, a little bit of loss of fruit, you're going to reap the rewards of good health, longevity, and prosperous fruit. So brush your teeth and prune your trees. Aloha. Thank you for joining this live episode of Eco Ventures. It is February the 28th, And in March, by mid-March, you will see our YouTube productions, and you will see that we will be doing YouTube Live at the same time as recording the show. And I want to thank you for tuning in. Apologies for that little sound area earlier where your ear must have had a bit of a ring in it. I'm going to leave you today a little short. We've got a 35-minute episode. Our producers are out of the country. We are all affected by Donald Trump right now. And I'm going to dig a little deeper and get myself set up in the Pupukea studio. I want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Eco Ventures. And I'm going to leave you with 2 minutes and 46 seconds of bird songs from Ocean View Avenue in Leucadia, where we're closing the studio and headed back to Pupukea. So stay tuned for more from the islands, and be well. Remember, take a walk outside, breathe a little deeper, and prune your trees from the inside, not the outside, from the inside. Aloha.